Hi, I'm Jose from Sophos Support. Today we'll be talking about Google Directory Service for Sophos Email. Google Directory is a web application that synchronizes Active Directory objects from Google Workspace to Sophos Central. Sophos Central then uses this connection to store crucial details such as user profiles, email addresses, group information, and shared contacts specific to your organization. The information is then used for automatic user and mailbox creation. This is necessary because a mailbox alias for each user should exist in Sophos Email before it will allow relaying to and from the email address. In this video, I'll take you through the install, setup, and synchronization of Google Directory into Sophos Central, as well as show you the features and options you'll have within Sophos Email. Before diving in, make sure you're a Central Super Admin to configure directory sources, synchronization frequency, and filters. You must also have a Sophos Email license and must be a Google Workspace admin to authorize Central for retrieving user mailbox information from Google Directory. Now, let's move on to the installation and setup process.
In Sophos Central, go to My Products, General Settings, Directory Service. If you're still using a legacy version of Sophos Central, you'll select Dashboard, Global Settings, Directory Service. Click on Add Directory Service. In the pop-up, fill in the name. The description is optional. Under the Directory Type drop-down, select Google Directory. And in the domain, put your Google Directory domain that you want to synchronize. Click Next. This will take you to the Google configuration page. In here, you can set the frequency of the synchronization from hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or if you want to only synchronize on demand, choose none. The View Instructions link takes you to the documentation associated with the content in this video. Before clicking the Connect button under the Configure Google Directory Sync Settings section, ensure you accept the two Google API terms by clicking on each link and then confirming your acceptance in the pop-up. You can close each respective window once you have accepted. Now click on Connect. In the pop-up, if you have not already logged into Google Workspace with your admin account, this will prompt you to log in first. Next, and critically important, make sure to check the box where Sophos is requesting permission to access your Google account. This grants Sophos the ability to view, edit, configure, and delete your Google Cloud data as well as access the address associated with your Google account. Click Continue. The process will initiate, and upon completion, you'll receive a confirmation message indicating the successful setup of the connection. At this point, click on Close. Before selecting Test Connection, ensure you first copy the Google OAuth Client ID value. In Google Workspace, go to Security, Access and Data Control, API Controls. In Domain-Wide Delegation, click on Manage Domain-Wide Delegation. Next, click on Add New and paste the Google OAuth Client ID value into the space provided. Return to Sophos Central, copy the next value, and paste it into the OAuth scope space. Click Authorize. This step grants central control over the API, enabling it to read and obtain user mailbox information from Google Directory for synchronization. Go back to Sophos Central and click on Test Connection. Once the connection is successfully verified, click the Save button. You can now set the filters on how you want Sophos Central to synchronize the information from Google Workspace. All users and groups will synchronize everything within the domain. Add Users by Group filter allows you to add the users from the groups that match by display name, email address, proxy address, or email owner. If you want the most granular way of adding users, pick the Add Users by User filter, as this filter has the most specific criteria out of the three. For example, adding users based on gender or organizational unit path. Now that we have set up synchronization, let's focus on what you can do after. I'll now discuss the options when Google Directory Service is both turned on and turned off. I'll begin with actions possible with synchronization turned on. When turned on, the Synchronize button is now visible. This button will force a manual synchronization. The Test Connection button verifies contact with Google Directory Services and ensures correct settings in both Central and Google. The Settings tab is used to see the current synchronization settings. Now let's jump into what can be done while synchronization is turned off. I'll now turn off synchronization to make changes. The Sync button is no longer active, and the More button is now available. I'll click on More to access the drop-down menu of Purge Data and Delete. Purge will remove the previously synchronized users and mailboxes, resetting all groups and associated policies for the specified domain. A pop-up warning will ask you to confirm that you understand purging data can't be undone. After checking the box, you can click the Purge Data button. Back at the More tab, the Delete option removes the directory service and all associated settings from Central. To proceed, you may need to perform the purge and disconnect actions, following the prompts as needed. Disconnect will sever the connection between Central and Google that granted Sophos permission over Google Directory user information during the previous synchronization setup. Let's explore Preview. Begin by selecting the Preview button, which fetches the current user information from Google Directory. The Preview tab displays the fetched information from Google Directory, which will be updated into Sophos email. It's highly useful for testing various synchronization filter combinations. The Revert button clears the Preview tab information and resets the synchronization filter settings to all users and groups. Now, let's go back to the Settings tab. As mentioned earlier, the Test Connection button is used to check if Central can communicate with Google Directory Services and if the settings are accurate on both sides. Finally, we get to the filters, which we recommended setting up to avoid unnecessary usage of licenses. There are several ways to retrieve the correct user and mailbox information. I'll show you a few examples. First, I'll filter by display name in the Users by Group filter. In Sophos Central, the term display name is identified as group name on the Groups page of Google Directory. I'll point this out shortly. Now, let's go to Google Directory's user page. Here, let's filter for new user. I now have new user 1, new user 2, and new user 3. However, when we switch over to the Groups page, only new user 1 is part of the group called testlab_palad3. You'll recall that this group name was our display name in Sophos Central. If I only want new user 1 to be synced, I can set the filter to retrieve data from this specific group name. So, currently the filter is set to all users and groups. If you preview this, you see that all the new users are shown. I only want new user 1, so I'll add a group filter. You'll notice that I have two filter options. All requires every condition to be met, while any will retrieve data if any of the conditions are met. When adding a condition, you have four options: display name, email, any proxy address, or owner email. I'll leave it set to display name and enter the name from the directory. To group conditions, use the Add Group option. For more information about conditions and groups, refer to the linked documentation. Once the filter is configured, click Save. Let's preview the result. And we see that new user 1 is now the only user. Now, I'll show you an example of filtering by a more specific attribute. First, select Add Users by User filter. Here, I am going to use the surname of TestLab as the filter. If we check the directory, we can see there is only one user with the surname TestLab. The other two have TestLab 1, 2, 3. So once I set the filter and click Save, I can preview it. We can now see that only new user 1 has been added. If we add another surname filter with TestLab 1, 2, 3, the preview now shows all three users. Customize your filters to achieve the desired results.
And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out the documentation for this video in the video description. For further assistance, View and post questions on community.sophos.com. And go to techvids.sophos.com for more great videos like this one. Thanks for watching!